Hello, and welcome again to another segment of Casa Cares. My name is James Washington. I'm one of the staff members here at the award-winning Richland County Casa. Today we have another outstanding guest to share with us our community, you, our volunteer, and hopeful new volunteer by our community stakeholders. So without any further ado, let's welcome our guest.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Figures, and I work with Sistercare in Columbia, South Carolina. My responsibility with this agency is the director of shelters. We have 3 shelters presently in Columbia. We have 2 in Lexington County and 1 in Richland County. I am a graduate of South Carolina State University, undergrad and grad, master's degree in counseling. I began work at Sistercare in 1999, so that means I'm going on, 15 years? And the reason that I chose this as my second career was because I am a survivor of domestic violence, so this is my heart. My first career was at Bell South. I was in the business world, in the corporate world, which is another animal, but it provided me the opportunity to take care of my daughter, and as a single mom. So now I am doing what my heart dictates that I need to do.
Evelyn, first of all, thank you and welcome. Richland County Casa and I volunteer appreciate you taking time out of your day to come visit our program. Tell us, what is Sistercare and what is your program?
Okay. I appreciate you having me, James. It's my privilege to talk about Sistercare at any point in time. If you don't mind, I will read our mission statement and our goals to make sure that I state them correctly.
Our viewers would love to hear those.
Okay. Our mission, as a nonprofit United Way partner agency, Sistercare seeks to provide comprehensive services for victims of domestic violence and their children, and to advocate on behalf of these survivors and to help prevent domestic violence through community awareness and education. Sistercare is the only organization that specifically offers shelter and support services for survivors of domestic violence and their children in Richland, Lexington, Kershaw, Newberry, and Fairfield counties. The goals of Sistercare are to provide safety for survivors of domestic violence and their children at confidential shelters, reduce the negative ramifications and intergenerational effects of domestic violence on children from violent homes, reduce future risk of interpersonal violence, and develop survivors' self-sufficiency through support services, and to prevent domestic violence through training, community education, and awareness. That is what we do.
Tell us about some of the programs that you have going on at Sistercare.
Okay. We have quite a number of programs. I will give you the programs first that are extensions of the shelter, and then I will talk to you about the shelters, because that is my heart, and that is where I am. Okay? We have community group counseling. What that is that we have groups in all 5 counties, Richland, Lexington, Kershaw, Fairfield, and Newberry counties. These groups are made up of women who have gone through domestic violence or going through domestic violence, and they need a place to come that is safe and confidential to meet with others for help and support. We have these on a weekly basis, okay? And they meet in confidentially located places. So that too provides for them an arena of being able to speak freely. The main objective in each group is that we always say, what you say here stays here. And that is how we do those groups. And the groups are facilitated by trained professionals. I myself have two groups. I have one in Kershaw and one in West Columbia, Lexington County.
And not to interrupt though, but how many women are in these groups?
It varies. In my Kershaw group, for example, I have only 4 or 5 women. In my Lexington, West Columbia group, I have 15. So it always varies.
Okay.
You know, they come and they go.
Okay. And is it part of the Sistercare's policy criteria for women to bring their children?
No, they do not bring their children. We have, as a matter of fact, that's another one of our programs. We have children's counselors that come out of each one of our shelters, out of the Richland and Lexington shelter. And they provide counseling for the children of women who've been through domestic abuse. They actually meet them at their homes. They go to their schools, or they meet in locations such as a library or someplace, you know, away from home if necessary. But that is how the children receive the counseling.
Okay. What criteria will one use in order to become a recipient of Sistercare?
As far as
a resident?
The main criteria, we have a crisis line. It's 24/7, 365 days a year, and we never close.
Okay.
So when a person calls in, we have an assessment that we do. We have a form, and it's an assessment to determine the level of danger a person is in. See, our shelters are short-term emergency shelters. That means that if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and you tell me that you're being badly beaten, first thing we're going to tell you to do is call 911. And then once 911 comes in, we'll talk to that person again. The only way that a person can get into the shelter after we've determined that they are definitely in serious danger is to go to a police station or have police bring them.
Okay.
And that is for their protection as well as for ours. Because like I said, all the shelters are in confidentially located places. And that's for the safety of the women and the children and the staff.
Has there ever been an incident where this rental spouse has followed the woman to one of your facilities?
If they have, I've never known it.
Okay. Again, because of confidentiality. Mm-hmm. Okay. What other programs do you have?
We have the court advocacy. That's a program. That's one of our community programs. In each county, we have a court advocate. Now, these court advocates are not attorneys. They do not give legal advice. But what they can do is they can get help a young woman in the court, from the court, get emergency order protections, restraining orders. They will go with them into the courtroom because a lot of times the women don't have anyone to go with them. So they will go with them just to have another body there with them to make them feel, you know, not as anxious when you're sitting. You know, it's kind of scary sitting in a courtroom looking at a judge and you've already been beaten down, you know, and you already feel unsure of yourself. And so we go there as a support system for them. And that's our court advocacy. And then we have the transitional housing program. That transitional housing program, we provide for women out of our Sistercare community groups or either our residents. And there are certain criteria that they have to meet in order to become accepted into that program. But those housing programs will allow them to go into a house or an apartment or whatever they choose. And the funds that we receive for that program sometimes will allow them to stay in that apartment or house for about a year. And then that way, when they're working, they can save money and eventually pick it up on their own.
How many type homes do you have here in Columbia?
Oh, I can't even count them.
Good.
Yeah, we have a large program for that, and it works very well.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the community education and awareness. That is where we go to different businesses, different schools. We go into the school systems. We go into the hospitals. We go to law enforcement. We teach them about domestic abuse, what it is, what it looks like, how you can identify it when you see it. And that's done on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're working in the field, like I work in emergency shelters, you encounter all types of situations. I think the most profound one that I ever encountered was once when I was subpoenaed to go to a court for one of the residents that had been in shelter. She had a broken arm. She had been in shelter before, so we knew her. So I knew that when she came in that time, he was the one who had done it. But she eventually left after a few days. And one thing you have to understand about women and domestic abuse, it's not just the physical that they endure, it's the mental and the psychological. It is the power and control. That is what they go for. That is how they demean by using words, all types of ugly words, and it can start out that way, and then it will eventually turn into the physical. Anyhow, I had been called as subpoenaed to court to bring this young lady's files. Had never been in the court with such anything like this before. But when I did get in the courtroom, she was there. She was with him at the defendant's table. She was sitting right behind him. And the officers that had been called out that night were also there. And when the prosecutor asked her to get on the stand, she denied everything that ever happened. You know why she did that?
What?
Because he had more than likely told her, if I go to jail, I will kill you. So she tried to deny everything, and she did not know that I was in the courtroom until she got on the stand and she looked at me. And I knew exactly what she was doing and why she was doing it. After court, she stopped by and she said, Miss Evelyn, I am so sorry. I said, you don't have to. I said, if you can get out again, call me. Please. You can always come back. And that was just so heartbreaking. But that's what women go through. Now you must also understand, women aren't the only ones that go through this.
Correct.
We have men that call us that go through the very same things. They don't normally come out as often as women do, but we have had more calls from men lately than we used to. And I think it's because people understand that domestic violence has no respect of person.
Right.
It does not matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what you do. It's all over.
I understand, too, though, that male victims are probably one of the most underreported crimes out there that they are.
They are. I mean, you know why?
Right, the stigma.
And the male ego, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of also, how successful are your women who go through Sistercare in terms of eliminating, is that the right word, eliminating domestic violence in their lives? How successful are they to get in the way and have productive lives?
James, I don't really have any statistics on that. We have been trying to come up with a way. Because, see, once the women leave shelter, we have no way of keeping up with them to try and determine whether they were able to succeed and live violent-free, or whether they were caught back up in the same situation, because sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. So I don't have the statistics on that at all.
And given the shift now that society is actually taking a dim view on domestic violence, domestic abuse, how much easier is that for your program to get out there for awareness?
It's a lot easier, because now we have, with people, at one time, it was not as well known, or it was not spoken out loud. You know what I'm saying? People didn't want to talk about domestic abuse or domestic violence, but it's everywhere. It's in everyone's. If you look hard enough, you find it in your own family. So it's much easier now for us to go into places and to teach and educate and to help those who need help.
Okay. Age of the children of the victims coming in. I know you have to be over 21, I guess, to be
No age limit.
age limit. Okay, so if you're 16 and 18 and your boyfriend's beating you up, and
if you're 16 and you're 18 and you're living with your boyfriend, you're considered to be an adult, basically, right? So, and as far as the boys that come in with their moms, we take them up to the age of 17. Because a lot of times we found when I first started with Sistercare, a lot of moms wouldn't come in because the age was limited to boys to like 14. So that has been changed. A lot of women wouldn't come in without their son. But now you know how many 17-year-old boys come in shelter.
wow.
Now they give you up the swag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
That's not cool. They don't come in.
Mm-hmm.
But the girls come. Girls come. And some boys do come.
Okay. Are there any type of empowering programs that once these women come to your program that you assist them with?
It is our program. It is a program of empowerment.
Okay.
When they come in, we do not tell them what to do. We don't. And the reason that we do the empowerment is because they're coming from places where they were told how to dress, when to eat, what to eat, where to go, when you can go, what time to come back. So we give them the empowerment to decide what it is they want to do in life. That's what we do.
Okay. And you as the director of shelters here in Columbia, South Carolina, if you had to get a message out there to the community, looking right into this camera, what would be your message to our viewers who may be in a situation that might need some assistance to get out?
I would say that if you're in a situation that you consider to be very uncomfortable, you have to go by your gut instinct. You know if you're being treated unfairly, if you're being treated meanly, or if you're being treated less than a human being. If you feel that in your gut, then you're in a domestic violence situation, and you need to call us as soon as you can. 803-765-9428. That's what I would tell them.
Evan, that sounds very outstanding. I guess the women of South Carolina and Columbia, Richland County are very fortunate to have programs like this. But tell me, what happens when a woman makes that decision to make that call to you guys?
After she makes the decision to come in, which is the first step in her beginning the rest of her life, basically, she comes into the shelter. And they're always nervous and apprehensive about what is expected and what is going to happen. In our shelters, we have the different rooms. I mean, we have rooms for them. We have it's really like almost like a home-like environment. I know a lot of times people say, going in the shelter, oh man, that's where you're laying. We're going to have these mats on the floor. And no. It's like a home. Okay, it's all the comforts of a home.
Okay.
Once she comes in, she meets with one of the staff members there, and we do what they call an intake, which means we get some more information about her, so that we just can maintain a file on her. Then we would take her and or her children to the room that we have assigned for them. She may share a room with other women and children, but it's not ever overcrowded. Okay. Everything in the shelter is free. Everything is free. We have washing dryers. We have food that we purchase for them. We have clothing. We have, anything that they might need. Anyway, some women come in sometimes, James, and they come in such a condition that they only have the clothes that they have on. So we always have, we have a community that supports us just so lovingly. And we always have more than enough clothes. We always have more than enough, cosmetics, beauty supplies, just so toothbrush, toothpastes, those things are donated to us. We have a lot of churches that support us. We have a lot of individuals that support us. We have a lot of different agencies that support us as far as donations. So we get a lot of donations that way. And we I don't know what we would do with that. We're very appreciative of that. And they not only provide for the women, but for the children also.
Okay.
So everything is free.
So what I'm hearing for the women in our area that who are going through these type of situations of being uncomfortable or living in fear, first of all, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
And there's a place that you can go.
There's a place you can go.
And the benefit of going there, that a program like yours can assist them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What does the Sistercare do for our women?
Well, once we sit down, we have a resource counselor in each shelter. The purpose of that resource counselor is to talk to the individual about what type employment she may have had in the past, what is it she wants to do now, how does she want to change her life as far as employment, because that's the main thing, to find employment. So we sit with them. We don't give them our suggestions on what we think they should do. We give them the option of choosing. We give you the information. You choose from it what you want to do. Okay. We have a lot of them that come in that want to complete their education, get a GED or a diploma. We give you any kind of resources that you ask us for. Okay. But we encourage you to do all the work. And the reason that we encourage the women to do the work is to rebuild their self-esteem. When you do something for yourself, when you can make an accomplishment yourself, that makes you feel just like, finally, like you're somebody. You're doing this on your own. So you know that you can live on your own. You know you can be okay. If you can do this, you can do the rest. The biggest step in getting out of domestic abuse is leaving. And that is also the most dangerous time. Okay. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes.
That is the most dangerous time for a woman is when she's leaving. That's why we don't tell a woman when to leave. Nobody can decide that but her. Even when I was in the situation, no one could tell me when to leave. I had to leave based on what I knew was going on around me. And even though we walk in the same shoes, we women who've gone through domestic abuse, we're all different people.
Different shoes.
Yes. I can empathize with you, but I cannot say I know exactly how you feel because we're different people. Okay. But we have women counselors who talk with the women, and their responsibility is to teach them the red flags. So if they get into another relationship, you'll know what to look for. So, such as if you are being courted, so to speak, quickly, when you're being rushed into a relationship, that's the first big red flag. Okay. And then if you're with someone, and just little subtle changes like, I don't like the way your hair looks today, or why are you wearing that outfit? Little things like that. Controlling. Okay. So we try to teach them all of that. And we try to teach them quickly. So that now, even though I said the shelters are emergency shelters, if we do everything on an individual case basis. If a resident is working on a plan and it's going to take her longer than the 60 days, we work with them because we want them to succeed.
And did you say that Sistercare allows children to come there also?
Oh yeah. Okay. And we have a wonderful children's program for them. They love it. It's amazing because sometimes when little kids come in, they are so scared, and they can react to one of two ways. They can either be very shy or they can be very loud. And a lot of times women think the smaller kids, like the 1 and 2 and 3 years, don't know what's going on. They know. They know. Even if they don't see it directly, they can feel it in the air.
Mommy and daddy have something going on.
Yes. Okay. Yes, they know that.
Okay. How often some of these kids injured in this process of mom and dad going through their domestic violence?
How often
are these children injured?
Injured? Mm-hmm. Not very often.
No? Okay.
Not very often at all. Like the ones that come in our shelter, I would try. I would say I might have seen one since I've been there in
That's
1999.
good enough. That's good enough.
Yeah, but that's physically.
Okay.
Mentally, all of them.
I can imagine.
All of
Discouraged.
it. Mental, and that's why women say, "But he's a good father. How can you be a good father
Beat them out.
and beat mom?" You know, it doesn't work that way. So, but they come in and they get a chance to be with the children. The older ones, the 5-year-old, don't have to try and protect the 2-year-old by taking them in the closet and hiding them, put them in the bed amongst the bed, so they won't have to hear all that. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, Nancy, my executive director, Nancy Barton, shared a letter that a 17-year-old had sent to Sistercare. He had been in the shelter when he was a kid with his mom.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted us to know that had changed his life.
Goodness.
And that he is very successful now. And it was because of the children's program at the shelter. It gave him a start. It allowed him to know that he didn't have to live like that. His mom, he said, had gotten out of it. And she was doing well also. So every once in a while we get news back that.
Okay.
And that's what it's all about.
Right. Hope you all do well.
If we can save one family out of all the thousands that we see in a year or in months or however long, if we have one family that makes it well, it's worth getting up every morning.
I understand statistics say that the very first time of domestic violence in the home, someone needs to press charges, and that those numbers go down significantly. However, if that person is allowed to come back without some type of services, it's going to be happening again and again.
It will.
How oftentimes do you guys see that?
But the women coming back?
Because she goes back to where her offender was.
It's not as often as it used to be when I first started working at Sistercare. Because I think now more women understand that they have more opportunities and they don't have to go back. So it's not as often as it has been in the past. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Evelyn, first of all, I want to thank you for your time, your sacrifices, and for coming out here to share with our viewers not only the awareness of domestic violence in our community, but the fact that there's a program like Sistercare to assist women and men who are at risk of being domestic violence.
I'm so glad you said that.
But now, I'm so glad you said that. But what's on the horizon for Sistercare? What is your wish list for Sistercare?
My wish list would be for all of the corporations, all of the churches, all the schools, all the agencies to come together as wraparound services for women and men who have been or are being abused, and eventually there will be no need for our services.
Wow, that's outstanding.
That's what I would wish. We do have volunteer. We have a volunteer program, and we have a website. On our website, if you are not able to volunteer your time, we'll take a check.
Okay.
We'll take some money. We won't turn that down.
Okay.
Because that
well spent money.
Yes, it will. It goes toward helping the women. Like I said, as far as them not having to buy or pay for anything when they come into shelter. Okay.
Again, Evelyn, I want to thank you on behalf of Richland County Casa. We thank you for your time, your sacrifice, and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another segment of Richland County Casa Cares. My name is James Washington. So the next time, we'll have another fantastic stakeholder, community person. You guys take care. Thank you.